Welcome back to the Triple Turtle Trilogy. This next Universal Monster crossover, Leonardo as Igor the Hunchback. Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to Month of Monsters, Frankenstein Week. Today we're looking at Leonardo as Igor the Hunchback. Originally listed as Leonardo as the Hunchback in original listings, we thought it would be the Hunchback in Notre Dame. Nice surprise, it's Igor the Hunchback from Frankenstein. Of course, he was the assistant to Dr. Frankenstein and helped in the creation of the monster, so Igor is an important character. Leonardo is kind of a weird fit for the Hunchback, but they actually worked in some pretty cool stuff and some homages to the old Battle Shell turtles, which is pretty cool. In the original line, Leonardo was the Wolfman, as well as the creature from the Black Lagoon, so going with Igor the Hunchback is a wild choice, and I appreciate the dedication to being unpredictable. In fact, this is also the modern figure of Igor the Hunchback from the original Frankenstein. There's been no others, and hopefully it indicates that Neca will do an Ultimate Igor somewhere down the line. But for now, let's look at Leonardo as Igor.
So on the box for Leonardo as the Hunchback, you can see this really nice artwork. Now, one thing that didn't make it to the final version of the figure was the head design, because the beard and the eyebrows were definitely a lot longer on this artwork than the actual figure. On the side, we can see the most amount of figures possible because this is a very wide figure, as you can see. So of course we got Leonardo as the Hunchback, Raphael as Frankenstein's monster, Michelangelo as the Mummy, a silhouette of April as the Bride of Frankenstein, a silhouette of Donatello as the Invisible Man, and a silhouette of Splinter as Van Helsing. On this side of the box, you can see the text reading Leonardo as the Hunchback. On the back, of course, we have that poster-like collage image that all of these boxes get. I love these so much. I would love to have these as like full-size posters at some point. In addition to that, there's fun little taglines such as, "See what's lurking in the shadows. He has a mind for monsters. Witness the horrifying backstory. Shell bent on revenge. Katana-wielding creature feature." As per usual, the open box flap still exists. And here is Leonardo as Igor. This is such a great figure design. I can't believe it. It's honestly one of the craziest things I think anyone's done with a Ninja Turtles figure. First of all, that head sculpt. He's still got the beard and the eyebrows. It's not as long as it is on the actual box. That's probably just some production thing. I do like it overall, and I like how the bandana is off to one side, so that way the bandana tassels hang down without getting in the way of the Hunchback. The shirt he's wearing is really nicely tattered. It's got some patches to it. It looks very, very realistic, and the extra details of like adding the little bug on his waist is really, really cool. You can see the hands, much like the Frankenstein's monster, has a lot of great detail and depth to it. Just really impressive stuff. And also you can see how the knee pads are also very dirty, which is just really cool. And I love that one knee pad has a couple bugs on it. It just adds to the sort of vibe of these figures to have these bugs. And also look how incredibly detailed the rope belt is. It's kind of amazing. On the back of the shell, you can see that much like with Frankenstein, this guy has had some modifications done to his shell. There's a giant hinge on one side. There's a couple different bolted spots here. On one side over here, there's a lock. There's a lock with a couple hinges. I wonder what that's about. And then you can also see how there actually is a hunchback to this turtle. So he's got this massive shell, but then his head is lurched forward. So they really did the work to make sure that Leonardo looks like the hunchback, but also still look like Leonardo because he's got the shoulder strap and belt that he would normally have. Articulation-wise, his head is ball jointed, so it moves around pretty good. A lot of left and right. Shoulders that move out, shoulders that would move almost 360. Double jointed elbow. He's got a wrist swivel and a pivot. Waist swivel, hips move out, forward, back, thigh swivel, knee bend with a knee swivel, as well as an ankle that pivots left and right and up and down, as well as a boot rotation. Hands-wise, he comes with 2 pointing hands, 2 holding hands, and 2 fists. Again, everybody seems to come with fists, but I don't ever use the fists. The pointing hands add a lot of character. It's like a "Master, do you want me to do this?" kind of thing, or you need to do that. It's expressiveness, and I really do think it works well with the character design. The holding hands can of course hold things like his 2 different shovels. I like how there is different shovels. He would be digging around for parts of bodies to put together to make the Frankenstein monster. And I like that they've given them such a worn design. There's chips and cracks, and there's dirt and rust. This is a lot more detail than I ever expected from a couple shovels packed in with a Leonardo as a Hunchback figure. He also comes with a bone. Never know when you might need a bone. Also, once again, an incredible amount of paint on the bone. And then he comes with these 2 accessories, which he doesn't hold as well, but it is a skull and a brain in a jar, which both of these just look absolutely incredible. Also, you can open the jar and remove the brain, which is honestly kind of neat and really fun. Now, the big secret of his giant shell, it opens up. So as you can see, you can open up the shell, and there's a ton of space inside to put things. I take this as a direct reference to the Playmates Battle Shell Ninja Turtles that had the ability to open the shells and put the weapons inside. It's just such a cool thing to incorporate into this design because that is part of Ninja Turtle history. There also is this little spider buddy that's hanging out inside, clinging for dear life. You know what? I think he's doing okay. He found a nice place to live. What's also pretty cool is there are these 2 shelves which allow you to put different objects on them. Specifically the skull and the brain jar. I love this idea that he's carrying around the stuff he needs for Frankenstein within his shell. Because the idea of him opening his shell to carry everything that he's been picking up is just really, really cool and such a great twist on the battle shell idea, while also just being a really cool action figure feature. Also, in case you're wondering, the extra shovels and bone, they can totally fit as long as you line it up correctly. Now, of course, what would he be if he didn't have his katanas? That is the Leonardo part of it. Both of these are very long blades, very, very thick plastic, and I love the little mace heads on the bottom because that really adds to the overall look and styling. You can also have fire blazing from these 2 swords as if he's using them as a torch to climb through the catacombs looking for some body parts. What's really amazing is that the swords actually store in the shell. Not on the shell in a sheath, in the shell. This is one of my favorite things ever. The way that these look from the outside is impressive. Even with the 2 swords sheathed through the shell, you can still put the 2 shovels and the bone inside and get the entire thing to close up. Size-wise, here's Leonardo with a Marvel Legend. As you can see, the Hunchback makes him a little bit shorter, but he's still a pretty large figure, all things considered. Next to a movie Ninja Turtle, you can see that he's actually shorter than the movie Ninja Turtles if you're going by head height. He's got a lot more going on in his back than the other movie Turtles, so that kind of makes a lot of sense. But honestly, it's really cool that they're still in the same scaling, but again, they're scaling to the monster, not to the turtle, which I think is just a cool idea. And of course, the Leonardo makes a nice companion to the Raphael as Frankenstein's monster. The 2 of them are from the same story, and while in turtle history, Leo's not responsible for Raph's creation, it works out in monster stories in terms of looks. I think they just make a really nice pairing because they aesthetically have a similar color scheme and design style that matches them nicely. And yes, while Michelangelo as the Mummy is a little bit of an odd man out considering he's not from Frankenstein, the 3 of them do look really nice together. It'll be really cool to have Donatello as the Invisible Man to round out the main 4 turtles, and that'll be kind of a nice set to have. But what's really cool about this line is that they're not just doing the main turtles, but they're doing a lot of characters. So overall, Leonardo as the Hunchback may not be the prettiest figure of the bunch, but honestly, he's just an impressive one. The thing that impresses me the most is that shell. The fact you can put so many things inside of it, the fact he can carry his entire accessory loadout practically in there, minus like the hands and the fire, is just really impressive. And then updating the Leonardo design to fit the Hunchback theme with the swords, it's just really, really good, and I love this line for doing something so oddball like this, and I hope we get to see more choices like that in the future. I mean, Splinter's Van Helsing's also an oddball choice, so I'm really, really excited.
So Leonardo is pretty sweet. I love the battle shell function. Just having that ability to carry all of his accessories is one cool turtle feature. And we have one more Frankenstein-related Universal Monster Ninja Turtle figure from Neca, and we'll be taking a look at her tomorrow.